Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Betholkus, and this is Happy Season 2, Episode 5, 19 hours and 13 minutes. It was a typical Tuesday for Nick, I would say, but yeah, it was a little bit of a weird episode. Yeah, definitely. We've seen this before where um all the characters, well, Nick, Amanda, and Haley are all suffering from the after effects of what happened, of course, during Christmas. And Nick, not so much. I mean, Nick's used to this because he went through a lot of shit as a cop. And so I think he doesn't, it doesn't affect him as much. I mean, it still does to some degree, but we're seeing this more affecting Amanda and Haley, and Nick kind of oblivious to most of that. So before we start, spoiler alert, I am going to spoil the episode. If you haven't watched the episode, go and watch it. Come on back. This will be a video, and you can comment down below in the comment section. And thank you, Viking Mitch. And yes, hashtag pants are optional, or pants optional, I should say. Obviously, Nick wasn't wearing any. So we actually start this episode with Nick naked, crying, and spooning one of the wishies in a room with a flashing light. And then, of course, we go back 19 hours and 13 minutes to a shower running. And Meredith goes up to the bathroom and goes, holy shit. She sees the devastation in the bathroom that Nick had done. And Nick is nowhere to be found. We see Haley, of course, waking up. Amanda's not up at all. She goes downstairs, Haley does, and makes her own breakfast. She makes waffles, kind of burns them, whipped cream, leaves a big mess in the kitchen, and gets ready for school and takes off. So in the meantime, Dayglow Doug and Meredith are taking a look. Dayglow Doug is actually watching TV, is what he's doing. And Meredith is talking about going back to the Shine Tower to go and grab some of those tapes, the real tapes. And Dayglow Doug's like, hell no, not going back there. He goes, I got a different idea. You and I go to Brazil. He goes, you can work on your tan. And, he's going off about this whole thing. And she's like, no. We need to go and get the real tapes. And she goes, by the way, here's your tape. He's got nothing over you anymore. So you don't have to worry about him anymore. Here's your tape back. And she gives it to him. And thanks there, Mufinobi. Yeah, Robert M. Meredith should have left Dayglow Doug at home. That's definitely the case. He was not up for this at all. So Happy, in the meantime, is looking for Nick. He's flying around, and he gets distracted by cakes in the window, and then through a weird series of associations of a gluten-free cake and edible candles and all this stuff, he remembers it's Haley's birthday. And really kind of, wow, he kind of freaks out a little bit. So Nick, in the meantime, is tripping balls, obviously. He has no pants on. All he's got on is that damn Hawaiian shirt. And he's running around down the street, and he's hallucinating things. He sees an elephant with really long legs walking down the street, and he ends up getting kidnapped by some guys in Hillary Clinton masks. And they're on a darkened out bus. So the bus has like these dark shades with holes in it. So there's like little pin lights of light coming through, and they all have guns. And they pull up their masks, and we see that these are guys that Nick had killed during the card game. And so they're like, they keep telling Nick that he has to do one thing in order to redeem himself, and he needs to go and kill Sunny Shine. And they keep trying to give him the photo of Sunny Shine, that he needs to take it. He needs to take the job. And Nick keeps going, nope. I've moved on past that. He goes, I'm drug free. I don't kill anymore. All that kind of stuff. And they're like, yeah, right. You're the same guy that you used to be. And we actually see what he's really doing. He's on a public bus with no pants, screaming at everybody on the bus. And he remembers that it's Haley's birthday at this point. He's actually told by these guys that it's Haley's birthday. And he yells at the bus driver to take him to a place where there's kids' toys, basically where he can get something for a kid for their birthday. And the bus driver just kind of looks at him kind of weird, and we go back to his hallucinations. And he starts yelling at them that they're extra runny, is what he says. He's kind of laughing at them, and they're holding their guns at him, and we see the guns kind of drooping and just kind of melting. And finally, the passengers have had enough of it. The bus stops. They throw him off the bus, and we hear one guy yelling, "Get some pants, you damn asshole!" Stanley might have been on the bus. Who knows? Very surreal. Yes, Penn Farm Girl. So we see some of the girls at Haley's school. They're a little clique there. They join Haley at lunch, and Haley's like, "Shouldn't you be with your queen bee?" And they're like, "Nope, we're over her. Do you mind if we sit here?" And he's like, "Yeah, I guess so." And they start talking about the birthday cake, cupcake that she's got. And she goes, "Well, it's my birthday." And they're like, "Really? It's your birthday?" And they seem kind of into it, but we kind of figure something bad's going to happen. Amanda, in the meantime, wakes up at home, goes down to the kitchen, sees the mess that Haley had left, and then sees the whipped cream bottle and decides to do whippets off the whipped cream bottle there. And every time she does, she starts having flashbacks to what happened to her in Sunnyshine's tower, and her being encased in this like cocoon, this white latex cocoon. And she keeps trying to do it. She keeps trying to get high until she runs out, and she's finally like, "Fuck it." She's going to go out. We see her getting out there. In the meantime, Blue, actually Horgus, is holding court in the courtyard. He's got all the prisoners. They're sitting up on the in the courtyard, and he's essentially preaching to them, saying that everything that they have, the only thing they have in common, all of them, is death. And he starts going on and on about this. And the prisoners are into this until he has some gas, and Blue comes back. And Blue's like, "Excuse me a moment," and he leaves. It's just this weird thing that happens. In the meantime, Meredith and Doug grab a wishy. The wishy that Meredith killed. We see that the wishy is back. And they want to see what's underneath that, who's there. And she says, "Take off your head," is what she tells him. And we see it's a guy underneath there. And he's fairly new. He's only been there for 6 weeks, just by the time that Meredith killed the other wishy. And he says the other wishies are kind of aloof. They don't, hang out with him. They're too good for him. But he understands it's big time, and how he even offered to blow Sunny and all this kind of stuff. But of course, Sunny wouldn't do it. And then also the wishies are very possessive of Sunny as well. He goes overly possessive. And he says he's never seen them with their heads off either. So that's, he finds kind of odd as well. In the meantime, Pink and Blue are sitting in the courtyard, and Blue says, "I'm not myself." And Pink's like, "Yeah, you think?" And Blue says, "You know what? I'm dead." He goes, "Think of me as being dead already." And he goes, "I want you to kill me." And Pink's like, "What? No way." And he's like, "Yeah, you need to do it." He goes, "Because that's the only way I'm going to trap this motherfucker inside me," is what he says. And he goes, I need to do it before before he takes over. Because once I'm dead, Horgus has no place to go. Yeah, Pink and Blue forever. Exactly, Robert M. And Pink's like, "Well, you want me to do it right here?" And he goes, No, not right now. He goes, I don't want to see it coming. He goes, "I can't get the other guys to do it because they're, worship him. They worship Horgus. And I can't do it myself because Horgus will stop me." So Pink decides that, yes, he will do this for him. And kind of a little bit messed up, but that's about the only way Blue's got an out on this one. So in the meantime, Haley's in class, and we see this guy come in, and he's delivering a birthday cake for her. And the girls, who are of a clique called the Squad, is what they're called, they've ordered the birthday cake for her. And so, everyone's, the teacher goes, "Okay, everyone, let's sing happy birthday." Start singing happy birthday. And Happy finds her too at this point. He has wandered into the school with some balloons and everything. And Haley doesn't see him at all. Now, remember that. Haley does not see Happy anymore. She has lost that childhood innocence. She is done with him, essentially. But he's now attached to Nick. He's a Nick's imaginary friend now at this point, really. So she opens up the cake box and it's fruitcake. And of course, if you remember from the first season, she was forced to eat fruitcake by a very bad Santa. And it triggers a lot of PTSD in her. And she screams, gets up, throws the cake against the wall, and then runs out of the classroom. And the girls, say, wait a minute, we didn't order that. We ordered a real cake for her, right? And they're like, yeah, we did. And the other girls in the class start singing Jingle Bells, of course, too, just before she freaks out. So, yeah, exactly. Kato Rowan kind of tuning Dennis out until he's done with the review. As usual, Kato. So, Nick is hallucinating out in the park again. He goes out into the park and he sees Amanda pull up, and Amanda's dressed all in white. She's got like white hair too, and looking all kinds of sexy and everything. And she says, "You're not realizing this, but I'm in withdrawal. You've seen this before. You're a cop. You're an ex-addict. You know all of this, and you see that Mama's hurting." Is what what he says. Yeah, Amanda looked really hot. Exactly, Penn Farm Girl. And she's telling him, you need to do something about this at this point. And he's like, but I'm clean. He goes, I did it for you and Haley. And she's like, no. You need to go back to your old self. You need to be that killing machine. That's who you are. That's what you're best at. And that's what we need, is what she's saying. And yeah, he's pretty much tripping pretty hard at this point. And we actually see him, what's going on is he's passed out and he's got fishnets on and ladies' panties, passed out in a public fountain with water just sprayed on him. And I love the little girl goes, "That man okay?" And the mom goes, "Just keep going. Don't look at him." Just another typical Tuesday. Doug, in the meantime, asks the wishy actor he's got tied up in the dressing room where he can go pinch a loaf, and he leaves and walks right into the Dayglow Doug Museum and sees his microphone, his old jewel microphone that's inside a glass box. He freaks out, knocks over the box and grabs the microphone and jumps up on stage. Yeah. And in the meantime, Meredith is dressed up as the wishy Sakatimi, and she's running down the hallway looking for stuff, and she runs into Smoothie. And that's one of the most disturbing scenes because Smoothie looks at her kind of weird and then starts sniffing her because he can sniff that she's not the guy that was inside the costume. And one of the PAs comes up, grabs her and says, "Sakatimi, we need you out in rehearsal. That's where you've been," and they grab her and take her, away from Smoothie at this point. In the meantime, Doug is, on the stage, because this museum is actually done in his old sound stage, and he's doing like really old stale jokes. And this is when Sunny Shine comes out and tells, Dayglow Doug that he's basically done with. He's a has-been. He was a has-been even before he took over, and that his act is actually the thing that's making he's got a $1 billion act, whereas Dayglow Doug has nothing at this point. And Meredith sees this. She's actually in the monitor. She sneaks into the monitor room and knocks out the guard, and then she sees Sunny and of course Dayglow Doug on the stage, and she's like, "Oh shit, what are you doing?" And Dayglow basically tells him that, you have no power over me anymore, and he shows him the tape. And Sunny's like, I want that back, kind of thing, of course. And he goes, "No, you know what I want more than that?" And he grabs the microphone out of Dayglow Doug's hand. It's actually on, it's live. And he ends up beating the shit, or actually he beats to death Dayglow Doug with his own jeweled microphone. Yeah. Takes back the tape too and walks away, and he's covered in blood. And Meredith has seen all of this. She is now a witness to Sunny Shine committing murder, of course. So Nick runs across Happy as a horse attached to a carriage. And of course, this version of Happy is not really happy. He says, "You know what? I'm not the real Happy." And he goes, "Well, where's the real Happy at?" He goes, "I don't know. Maybe in a bar getting drunk someplace. How am I supposed to know?" And this version of Happy says that Nick is working through some issues and it's not going to be pretty when it ends, is what he tells him. It's probably not going to end well, is what he says. Take your gloves off and hit record. Exactly. She could have recorded this whole thing. You know what? It probably is recorded there someplace. You're right, Robert M. Um, and he basically says that Happy says the best present Nick could give Haley on her birthday is just to leave them and never come back. And Nick's like, that's actually kind of mean, man. What the hell? Because you haven't given me any good advice anyway about raising Haley. You've been wrong about everything. And he goes, why should I listen to you now? Kind of thing. And he leaves. Of course, basically tells him to go screw himself too. And then we see Happy really is in a bar with imaginary friends. It's an imaginary friends bar. And he is having some drinks with Twigs. And he gets bought a drink by Bo Peep. And Twigs goes, oh man, if Bo Peep buys you a drink, you better go and answer. So he's like, all right, I'll go over there. So he goes over and talks to Bo Peep, and she flirts with them. And in walks Giant Smoking Baby. So Giant Smoking Baby is an imaginary friend that is voiced by Weird Al Yankovic. And he's jealous of Happy and Bo Peep at this point. He thinks that he and Bo Peep have a connection, even though they only spent one night together. And she's like, I'm not yours. And yeah, it's just a very weird scene. And Happy basically says, I don't want your secondhand smoke. Get the hell out. Get away from me. I don't want cancer. And so what does Giant Smoking Baby do? Takes an entire pack into his mouth, breathes it in, and blows smoke on Happy. This ends up into a bar fight is what happens. And Bo Peep leaving with Happy, with them, all the imaginary friends just kind of mixing it up at this point. So this episode had just pretty much everything in the kitchen sink involved in all of this. Amanda, in the meantime, returns home with just bags and bags of whipped cream and starts doing whippets like hardcore. And she starts remembering what happened in Shine Tower, busting through the latex. And then she can almost remember what was going on with the Wishies. And then she comes to, and Haley comes home at this point. And she goes, oh, hi, Haley. How you doing? All this kind of stuff. And Haley's like, do you have anything you want to say to me? And she goes, what do you mean? And she goes, it's my birthday. And that's when Amanda just realizes she's dropped the ball on everything and says, it can't that can't be. Oops, sorry. I remember something like that. And she's really kind of tripping out at this point. And then she grabs Haley and says, that she, you won't understand this, but I have a need that I don't remember what it is, and it needs to be filled. And she goes, I can't remember what it is. And it's just driving me now at this point. And then she says, she kind of stops and looks at Haley and says, I need to leave. And Haley pleads with her not to leave. And the coldest thing, she goes, have a happy birthday, and turns and walks out the door. And I was like, wow. I mean, talk about shitty. I mean, just really, really shitty birthday. Just a shitty day in general too, all the way around. So we see Sonny covered in blood, his little gaucho jumpsuit thing that he's got going on, walking, kind of dancing down the stairs. And he enters into the keypad, his code to get into this door. Meredith sees it on the monitor. And Sonny walks into the room, and that's where all his tapes are. They're actually at the studio. So Meredith actually goes down the stairs too. She sneaks inside after Sonny has left, and she sees one of the tapes is Cap G's. So Cap G is the TV executive, the one who's greenlit the Easter special, and she grabs Cap G's tape. So yeah. Oh man. So Haley goes back to the clearing in the park where she had gotten kidnapped by a very bad Santa, kind of reliving some stuff. And she sees Sonny, or excuse me, Smoothie, not Sonny, Smoothie, sitting on the park bench feeding the pigeons. And she comes over and he says, "Happy birthday." And she goes, "How'd you know it was my birthday?" He goes, "That's what friends are for." And then we see that what he's feeding the pigeons is Haley's birthday cake, her real birthday cake. He's the one that switched out the rotted fruit cake for the birthday cake. So he's fucking with her again at this point. And some pretty evil shit, honestly. So we see Nick hallucinating people high-fiving him as he's running down the hallway because, being best dad and everything because he's gotten Haley a gift. And he runs into this room with like stuffed wolves and things like that. It's a darkened room. And he sees Haley there and he says, "Haley, I brought you your gift." And she goes, "I already got my gift. You got me something already." And he opens up his bag and he goes, "Oh, it was right here. I don't know what happened to it." She goes, "No, I've already got it." And he turns and looks and she's got a gun in her hand. And he goes, "Come on, Haley, give it to me. Give it to me." And she shoots him. So he ends up going down. She shoots him in the stomach. And he goes down to the ground. He's crying. And this is where we see what he's really doing is spooning with one of the big wishies. And that's where we started off the whole episode with him on the floor with the giant wishy, crying and holding on and spooning the wishy, which is just very disturbing at this point. We see Amanda in the meantime walk into the studio, and she asks to meet. She asks to see Sunny Shine, and that's where we leave off the episode. And I was like, "Wow, this is some really fucked up shit at this point." I mean, yes, we're still dealing with PTSD and everything. And I'm really hoping they kind of wrap up that part so we can just get to the Easter stuff. Because quite honestly, I don't want the entire season to be this. That's kind of what killed the Punisher, to tell you the truth. The Punisher was all PTSD. Yeah, exactly, Viking Bitch. The tagline, "What the fuck did I just watch?" is so appropriate. It is. It really is. Smoothie is Bobby from Mad Men. Oh, okay. Yeah, I know there's a lot. Actors play a lot of different things here. Viking Bitch says the episode where he was looking for the tapes. Nick says, "I should have been a TV detective." Yeah. Yes, Pen Farm Girl. I want more Weird Al too and Giant Smoking Baby Man. Joker the Third says Chris showed his range on the old HBO series Oz. Yes, he did. And yes, he is a very brave actor. I don't know if you watched right afterwards, right after the episode, past the trailer for next week. Brian Taylor, who is the showrunner for this, he's also one of the directors of Crank. He's one of the co-directors of Crank, I should say, and Crank 2. He talked about he loves that Chris is so gung-ho about trying all this stuff, and that he's not afraid to put on garters and women's underwear and go running around the city. And yeah, I thought it was kind of funny. I mean, he did a good job of that. Fruitcake is the worst. Let's see what else we have. Of course, Movie Finobi hasn't seen it. He's only seen the first episode. Pen Farmer says what Smoothie did really sucked. Poor Haley can't catch a break. Well, yeah, it's the whole breaking down of Haley at this point. I guess just even more so. Yeah. And yes, Amanda needs to get some damn therapy at this point. Pen Farm Girl says Brian Taylor seems very happy to have Chris on board. I see what you did there. He seems very happy to have Chris on board. Yeah, he is. He really is. Just because Chris is willing to do stuff that no one else will do, honestly. I like the behind the scenes stuff too, especially if it's done right. And yes, that school is not a Catholic school, is probably one of the worst places for her to be at right now. Quite honestly, that's those schools are pretty damn brutal. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah. Kiddo Run says, let's hope the show has an actual plan regarding Easter and it's not just a D plot. Yeah, I'm hoping so too, Kiddo Run. It really needs to move towards the Easter storyline and get rid of the PTSD stuff. I'm hoping like the next episode they get rid of the PTSD stuff because that's going to be episode 6. and I believe that's the halfway point. I believe there's 12 or 13 episodes, somewhere around there. So they need to end this PTSD stuff and move on to the Easter stuff. You can still bring in the PTSD stuff here and there as the subplot, but not the main plot. Yeah, the main plot of this is just it needs to be the Easter stuff. Because right now we're not seeing any of the Easter stuff, and I'm pretty sure they didn't have a story involved in that. And of course, they didn't have Grant Morrison because Grant Morrison was off writing his own stuff. Derek is off doing his own stuff as well. So yeah, they didn't have any of the creators of the comic to go through a second season on that. And the comic was only, the first season. They did the comic already. It was just a 4-issue, series. Kid Aron says, so far, really enjoying the show, though. Yeah, exactly. Me too. Pen Farm Girl says, Amanda could confront her demons and have a breakthrough. I'm hopeful. I'm really hoping so. I'm hoping Amanda, comes through it. Maybe has some kind of revelation about the Wishies, about what's going on with them, what they're about. Maybe even how to defeat them or what they really want, because they're just weird. It was already filmed, Robert. Robert M says, I wonder if this tragedy will make them play down Easter. This tragedy. No, this is already like Pen Farm Girl said, it was already filmed. So, you're talking about the stuff that happened overseas. Yes. No, it's not gonna, because it didn't have anything to do with that. So, yeah. So yeah, I think I don't know. So far, like I said, they need to get rid of the PTSD. Are you reviewing Endgame? Yes, I will, Kid Aron. I will. Right now, work is kicking my ass up one side, down the other, sideways, left, right, diagonally, plaid, and in 3 different pocket dimensions as well. So it's I'm going to be telling my boss tomorrow I need to take Friday off. So, because I really do honestly need to do it, because I am burnt out right now. If you can't tell from by looking at me. Pen Farm Girl says, I can understand why you think that, though. Yeah. So if you like what you see here, hit the subscribe button. Also hit the like button. And if you don't like what you see, you can hit the dislike button. I just ask that you go down below in the comment section, give me some constructive criticism about what you didn't like. I have a friend of mine who's pissed off at the way I am pronouncing names on the Game of Thrones podcast. Obviously, I'm not pronouncing them correctly for her. So, oh well. I'm going to try and do different versions of every name from now on. Just mispronounce them completely, just for her. Just because. And if you want to see when my schedule is going to be up, it is on suspendedfanimation.com. It is also up on my Facebook page. I also have a Twitter and an Instagram as well. Let's see. Tomorrow night is going to be the season finale of Gotham. That's right. Season finale of Gotham. Friday night is going to be Doom Patrol. Saturday mornings is Saturday Morning Blast Off. There we go. And that's where I take the genre news of the week, talk about all of that and any genre related stuff you guys want to talk about. Sundays, of course, is the aforementioned Game of Thrones. And Monday is this blue guy right here, The Tick. Season 2. So Joe Greer the Third says, I'm reading the Umbrella Academy comic book. Nice. Some good stuff. Spoon. Okay, back on schedule. Of course. So if you're still on the cusp here of joining up, you don't know whether or not to join up, take a look up here. There's going to be a video that pops up in this area, taking one of the videos from my library and matching it according to your algorithms of what you've been watching. It'll pop it up there. If you like what you see, then you can hit the subscribe button. That's going to be someplace in this area. So with that said, thank you, everybody that joined me here in the chat tonight. Joker the Third, Kato Roan, Sculpt Leather Up by Viking Bitch, Pen Farm Girl, Robert M, Movie Fanobi, who was in here earlier, And did I miss anybody? I might have. No, I think that's about it right now. So there we go. I'm going to let you guys go for the evening. Thank you very much. And again, take a look at the videos up here. Hit the subscribe button. Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may end up in a bar brawl with an imaginary giant smoking baby. Good night, everybody.